It's difficult for a human being to figure out what life is, what the universe is, and what is our purpose in this life, if there is any. And we try to make sense of all of this, and so we kind of invent survival mechanisms which are built up of ideas and emotions. And I think the free will is one of these cases, because we know that everything has a cause and effect in this world, and that every object, so to speak, exists because it has a predefinite place in time and space. But somehow we think that we are not subjected to these laws, and that there is a tiny part of us that possesses free will. And I believe this is a huge misunderstanding that comes from the fact that we need to have a moral basis. And it doesn't matter if it's sustained by the belief in a superpower, such as God or whatever, doesn't matter, or just usual human system of thoughts and morals composed of crimes and ways to punish them. Wink, Dostoevsky. So that's why we cling to it. And another reason that people tend to believe obstinately that we are not subjected to this law of cause and of effect is that we do not know all that influences us. And so it seems to us that there are some parts or some aspects that are not predetermined, and so they are, so to speak, dependent on our will. And I think that's because our thinking capabilities are very limited, and so we cannot comprehend everything that comes together and creates us in the present moment. And so that gives us hope that perhaps we are special as opposed to animals. I forgot the philosopher who thought that animals are just machines in the way that they do not possess free will, and they are just whole of impulses and instincts. If I'm not mistaken, it's Newton or maybe Spinoza. I can't recall exactly right now, but it doesn't matter. And the fact that we think this way doesn't testify that we are right. Who can say that the human consciousness is just a product of a very sophisticated creator? And I don't mean by that God in the Christian sense or whatever. If we are not able to fully grasp the extent and the pivots of our capacities, it doesn't mean that it can be done by someone else. Maybe a person or an alien, a consciousness whose brain capabilities are 15% stronger than ours can decompose and predict our behavior on a large scale. And we can also do it, especially if we take into account the masses. But it's difficult to weigh and and calculate all the factors that come into play. If, for example, we are at a church gathering and the priest tells us how wretched and miserable and sinful we are, and that we should repent because God gave us free will, and we are responsible for our action. If, let's say, someone just for the sake of the experiment started yelling or or screaming that in about 20 or let's say 5 minutes an avalanche, provided the terrain is good for it, so to speak. If an avalanche were to slide, then everybody will just run away and push themselves and create havoc, even though they are free to do whatever we want. Of course, some might stay there and elect to die, but all the reasonable persons would go. So even this sort of alternative choice is also the product of innumerable causes. So yeah, but it's difficult, especially because our morality is based on it, and also the ideas propagated by those who stimulate masculinity and who proclaim that you should own your own actions and be a man, which means that you should put yourself together and that it is your choice. And of course, it's your decision, but you cannot make it unless you have certain predispositions or the circumstances around you are in favor. So it has to be a sort of play between this. Okay, I got scared that I didn't turn on my microphone. So yeah, and it's more, I believe it's more like fate, so to speak. And I'm not using this word in a religious sense. But if there is a huge chain of events before you, you cannot escape its influence. At least not in this material world. In order to believe in it, we'll have to introduce some ethereal dimension that's not bound by space and time. Some, I don't know, angelic world in which we have free will, but in that case, these words won't be of any use because if everybody would have uh, free will, then nobody would question it, and this concept wouldn't exist in their invented universe, so to speak. But these are only fits of my imagination. And on this note, I leave you and I'll see you on the next one.